So Donald Trump wants to turn the USA into one big casino. And effectively, if you remember Donald Trump's history, he had a bunch of casinos that all went bankrupt. And so obviously, if the USA turns into a big casino as Trump wants, it won't end well. Let me show you guys what's going on in the news today, and you'll see what we're talking about casinos. South Park actually addressed this issue. This was back in their season, which was a fantastic season. It says South Park takes on betting markets, Trump, and the FCC. And also not mentioned here, they were talking about the CFTC in South Park. And they put Donald Trump Jr. In the episode. And basically the joke was, whenever you call the government, the Trump's answer, right? Strategic advisor for predictive markets. Now, at the moment, these predictive markets, you're starting to see them everywhere, be it, I think it's Kalshi or Poly Market, and you can bet on all kinds of stuff. So for example, right now, if you really wanted to, you can bet on what's the Fed decision going to be. Are they going to decrease by 50 basis points, 25? What's the price of Bitcoin going to be, 75 or 80? BTC5, is it going to go up or down? It's Bitcoin. Is the USA going to strike Iran, and by what date? Like, you can bet on any number of things. The S&P 500 going up or down on February 17th. Who's going to win a sports match, right? Football. Juventus or Galatasaray. Or how long will the DHS shutdown last? Like, there's all kinds of crazy crap on here. Who's going to win the Oscar Best Picture? Which company has the best AI model at the end of February? Who visited the Epstein Island? And there's multiple names on here. I guess the top ones are Bannon or Clinton. Will the U.S. confirm that aliens exist before 2027? So I guess you got 11% chance of that. U.S.-Iran nuclear deal, that can happen before 2027. Is Jesus coming back, right, before 2027? You can also bet on who's going to win the election, who will leave the cabinet, maybe no one, or top choice right now is Pam Bondi. And my favorite, Elon Musk number of tweets between February 10th and February 17th, 2026. So I guess the top guess was, or bet, however you want to say it, was 240, 259. Now, some of these, right, and the Elon Musk one, I think is a good example, can easily be manipulated, right? Because Elon Musk has control of his account and he can basically tweet out and pick the winner, like, obviously. Be it the Oscar one would be another one where someone's going to know, right, on the inside who's going to be the winner of this stuff. But this is sort of the world that we're in right now. Some of the states want this stuff. Some of the states don't want this stuff. And the CFTC, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, is like, yo, this is our job to regulate it, and you states have to, take these things whether you like it or not. The chair of the CFTC, so again, the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, actually made a video statement today. You have to hear it for yourself.
Mike Seelig here. Over the past year, American prediction markets have been hit with an onslaught of state-led litigation. In response, the CFTC has today filed a friend of the court brief to defend its exclusive jurisdiction over these derivative markets. Prediction markets aren't new. The CFTC has regulated these markets for over 2 decades. They provide useful functions for society by allowing everyday Americans to hedge commercial risks like increases in temperature and energy price spikes. They also serve as an important check on our news media and our information streams. Today, the CFTC is taking an important step to ensure that these markets have a place here in America and have the integrity and resilience and vibrancy that our derivatives markets deserve. To those who seek to challenge our authority in this space, let me be clear. We will see you in court.
Okay, so he says we'll see you in court. And again, this is a fight over whether or not we want USA to be one big casino. And I'm telling you guys, given Donald Trump's history, it won't end well. This is actually coming in from Utah, which is another pushback from them. We just saw this before where Utah wants to regulate AI, which I completely agree with, right? Child protection things. Utah is also pretty strict on gambling. It says Utah governor blasts Trump regulator for blessing prediction markets. Again, I'm talking about this gambling, and I showed you guys an idea what that stuff is. This is the Utah governor, Cox, is what he says. These prediction markets you are breathlessly defending are gambling. pure and simple. They are destroying the lives of families and countless Americans, especially young men. They have no place in Utah. Wow. And here's another quote responding to directly the video you just saw. Again, the governor of Utah says, "Mike, I appreciate you attempting this with a straight face, but I don't remember the CFTC having authority over the derivative market of LeBron James rebounds," which is something you can bet on, right? Quote, "Let me be clear. I will use every resource within my disposal as the governor of a sovereign state of Utah and under the Constitution of the United States to beat you in court." So we're talking about, again, states' rights, whether or not we're going to become a big casino, and who's going to regulate it, how are we going to regulate this stuff. It is absolutely whacked out, this timeline that we're on. And then on top of that, this is all happening today, Donald Trump escalates assault on U.S. Consumer Protection Agency. So they want to turn the USA all into a big casino, and they want to roll back any kind of consumer protection laws. Effectively, what it ends up being is they want to go pre-Great Financial Crisis, get you borrowing as much as we possibly can. And this is a quote from one of Trump's people, Vought, who was the part of the Project 2025 group. Vought says, the CFPB, so that's Consumer Financial Protection Board, this is what they say, has been conscripted to advance a radical agenda that achieves precisely the opposite outcomes of what the leftist champions claim. It has prevented Americans from accessing credit and made life dramatically more affordable, okay? Vought has said he wants to, quote, close down the agency which was set up to protect consumers in the aftermath of 2008 financial crisis. So long story short, they want to get that borrowing going again. They want to overheat the economy. Trump always talks about how he wants to keep bringing interest rates down to zero. I mean, at this point, they'll probably charge you fines if you don't take out loans, right? They just want as much borrowing as possible. It's absolutely insane. And if you guys remember the Great Financial Crisis, there was a lot of tomfoolery going on with that stuff. And it basically destroyed a lot of people's lives. Let's be frank with you guys. Where Trump's family is trying to, like, how can I say, like, profit off of this Wild West kind of system. Look at this. U.S. drops probe, okay? U.S. drops probe of gun sales payment company backed by Donald Trump's son. I didn't even know this was a thing, but it makes sense. If you want to buy a gun, some of these guns are expensive, right? It doesn't even matter if they're expensive, but this, if you want to buy a gun, Trump's kid then has this company that will help you get the financing for said gun, right? This is all about borrowing money to keep this stuff going. And in this world, let's say the financing doesn't work out because people borrow too much and Tom can't pay Joe and Joe can't pay Sally or whatever, then you start giving these people bailouts. And for those of us who lived through the Great Financial Crisis, I'm just telling you, it's an awful situation. They'll try to argue too big to fail kind of stuff. And they want to take us back to, again, this pre-Great Financial Crisis stuff and roll back all these regulations and turn us into a big casino. And so this is the discussion even on CNBC today. CFTC defends its right to prediction market enforcement as states challenge the platforms. Oh my God.
What we're seeing, the American Gaming Association, led by Chris Christie, has really led an onslaught across the country trying to ban these markets state by state, and we're not going to allow that.
I'll say this. There is some truth to what he says, right? Just want to be fair here, because you could certainly make the case that some politicians will be representing, their gaming and gambling constituents, thinking that people will want to do this stuff online, not necessarily go to casinos. So yes, this could hurt casino business. Let's be clear on that. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you would want to take away states' rights to regulate this kind of stuff. So like in Utah's situation, he would be more stricter on casinos and gambling than other states, right? They have a right. And so that's sort of what we're talking about here.
CFTC has overseen our derivatives markets since the 70s. And since the 30s, we've had a federal regime for the oversight of derivatives markets. And prediction markets are not new. We've had prediction markets since 1992 with the electronic market in Iowa. And that market itself also allowed for political predictions on corporate earnings, and now for sports. And so we're seeing a huge swath of interest in Americans predicting the future. And this is what these markets are about.
And it's funny when I'm watching this guy, this is the chair of the CFTC, you can see Trump's plan in like full clear view. Trump's planning to have the UFC fight at the White House. They're building a new stadium for that. Trump's also planning to have NASCAR race around DC. These are actual things happening. Like, it doesn't even sound real. Like, I was going to say, for reals, he's actually doing this. NASCAR in DC and UFC fighting in DC. And when you put all this together, like, we're not that far from Hunger Games, Squid Game, Running Man, if you guys know that old movie, and even Stephen King novella, which I actually read. But it's that's going to be our future. It's like, hey guys, we're going to gamble on who's going to survive the Trump Hunger Games. I can totally see that happening in our crazy sci-fi future. And then the way this guy will argue is, hey, people want to gamble on the survival of whoever. It's like, this is what we're setting up for. It's absolutely nuts. This is also talking to the other person that first showed you Polymarket. This is the Kalshi CEO. Just have a listen to what he says. He talks about his thing.
Face this dispute with the CFTC right before an actual major election cycle. How are you responding, and how quickly can you have this resolved?
Yeah, well, first of all, Matt, thanks for having me. I think, a little bit of context on how we got here. So Kalshi is the first and only legal prediction market in the US. The community of prediction market traders has been growing phenomenally, and the product is very simple. You predict the future, you make money.
Is it always yes or no? Is it binary?
Right now it's yes or no. I think we're progressing into a variety of different products. But you can imagine who will win the elections, what's going to happen to the weather tomorrow, will TikTok get banned? And the industry has been seeing explosive growth in the last year. It's been absolutely incredible. We're doing millions of transactions a day now. Our community of traders is growing. We've seen crazy things like people making hundreds of thousands of dollars on weather this month alone.
That's the USA these days, guys. If you want to get rich off predicting the weather, you can do that in the USA. And this was actually an interview a couple of years ago, so it's even accelerated beyond what he was talking. But yeah, it is a growing market. However, you definitely want consumer protection stuff in this. And also, if states don't want it or want it, hey, that's their prerogative. However, there is going to be a fight in court on this stuff. So that's my thoughts on this. I'd like to hear yours. Do you want the USA to be a big casino? What's your thoughts on predictive markets? And do you want people betting on the weather, or how many times Elon Musk tweets, or who's going to be the next to leave the Trump administration? You're probably going to hear this talk a lot because now we can all bet on our phones so quickly. And that's something that can circumvent local state laws, because we're not talking about going to a physical casino anymore. Now we're talking about virtual casinos. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this one, and I'll catch you all in the next video.